Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hi, I'm Elizabeth. Hello. Hello, I see big waves in the back. Everybody wiggle around. Had your coffee. We're all here this morning, 9 a.m. Oh, I guess a little bit after. And good morning. I'm so excited to be here at MacDevOps Vancouver. And if I seem a little nervous, it's because I am. I took a speech class once in college, and they said that the number one highest ranked fear of all people was public speaking. Like, more than death, people are afraid of speaking in public. So we're all here, and we're going to get through this. And if I feel scared, so what? We all do things that we feel scared about and come out on the other side feeling changed. And that includes becoming an engineer. So if you're in this room, you paid an entrance fee to support this great event, and you're here to meet new people, listen to great talks from industry experts, find a new candidate, maybe a new role, and we all hope to leave inspired. So my live audience, you're great. I look forward to chatting with you. Come talk to me out in the hallway. Special shout out to people on the live stream. Hi, and our future friends who are watching this recorded. I had a mentor once say, prepare yourself for firsts, meaning plan for your first of anything to be just kind of weird. And I have a lot of firsts here. My first time to Vancouver, my first public talk at a tech conference, and this whole talk is about my first year as a client engineer. Who am I? You heard my name. That's me. It's a big picture of me. I'm Elizabeth Ponce. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm a systems engineer at Airbnb. I'm a gem tech. Our gender's marginalized in tech, meaning our gender inclusive tech ERG. I'm a lead for that group, our global lead, and I'm active in our Juntos ERG. If you haven't met someone from Airbnb before, we have fun facts. My fun fact right now, today, is that I'm going to go see Taylor Swift in August, and my era is 1989. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Swift, what's up? Before client engineering, a journey. Basically, if anybody tells you that there's one way to arrive somewhere, that's pretty sus. I'm telling you right now, that's not true. I'm going to zoom out here, get real wide, bring you down in for a little context on why I'm here, what I do. Here's a slide that inelegantly lumps at least 4 different careers I've had in my lifetime, starting with corporate, retail, food service management. I actually saw that Mike from Fleet and I worked at Starbucks at the same time, February 2008. What's up? Former partners out here. I worked in bicycles. I was a mechanic, nonprofit program manager, so that's career number 2, bicycles and other vehicles for social justice. I was a small business owner. Check out northstreetbags.com. It still exists. I got my first degree in conflict resolution, so the most applicable skill set in all of humanity. And then my second degree is in computer science. I just graduated in December, and along the way I started at Airbnb. The underlying theme here is that I'm a person that loves people and complex systems. There's me in the middle, cool diagram. So if you can read about my journey to engineering at Airbnb. I wrote a tech blog post. It's on the Airbnb tech blog. You can read about it there. But the short version of that is that I started in our community support org in 2017, so picking up the calls from hosts and guests, and really anybody else who calls that line. You'd be surprised. People just call that line. And I started as a community support ambassador, and I received a call one day from someone who was having an issue with their listing on the website, and you know, I didn't have an answer. I was customer support, so I went and found an engineer that worked in the office, and that staff engineer went and found the problem, got back to me, and fixed it. He just fixed it. Like, there was a problem and he fixed it. It occurred to me then that websites were built by people, like the internet was built by people. Who knew? So those engineers taught an intro to web development class at the Portland office. So I signed up for it, kind of like a CPR class, and it turned out to be awesome. I was totally hooked. I took some Code Academy classes. I did some self-learning. I went to a JavaScript boot camp nights and weekends. And then I went back to school for a second degree, so in computer science. I joined the engineering org at Airbnb in 2021. A Along the way, I worked in our trust org, so I worked on the account security team where I was doing cybersecurity work using SQL and R and Python, things like that. Yeah, and I joined engineering in 2021, and then I did a round of rotations, and then I joined client engineering in August of 2022, hence almost a year. So this talk, we're just going to talk about this final bullet point, client engineering, skills that I learned from previous careers, from previous degrees, things that I learned with practical experience, things that I learned from mentors, suggestions that were given to me, and lots of iteration. And I've grouped these sections, these tips into four sections. So identify your unique skills, ask questions, engineering is failing, and build your community. You're an engineer, now what? Nothing great happens fast. And joining an engineering team, especially remotely like I did, has its own challenges. If you're that engineer, here's some tips. Identify your value and purpose. So I like to start at the beginning of my day and connect with my purpose and center my mind on being helpful with the talents that I have and building up the curiosity to develop new skills. So what fires you up? What are you most curious about in the context of your role, the project you're working on, your deliverables? Make a skills inventory. Identify your unique value and purpose. Let your skills shine in all your meetings. I do that by arriving at all my meetings over-prepared, like do all my research before I get there so I don't have to let my learning journey in the meeting interrupt where I could be helpful to others. Here's an example. Me. Here's some skills I listed out that I know I can bring to a project. Notice that technical skills is just one part. That's just one part of the package. And we're all unique in our own experiences and what we bring to a team and what we bring to a project, and that mix is where the magic happens. Ask questions. So in my first month as an engineer, I worked on a project with my current tech lead manager, shout out Graham Gilbert, you might know him, who offered this challenge to me. He said, I want you to set a goal to ask me so many questions that I have to say stop because you're interrupting my work. And I mean, that might not be a direct quote, but it like gets the point across. And I mean, it speaks to the point that like as a new engineer, that's our job. The job is to learn. You just got to keep learning. I still try to meet that. He's never actually said stop. So I haven't hit that yet. Asking questions, you know, your knowledge grows. It benefits everybody. People see that question if you post it on the internet. It helps the person that's giving you the answer because they get to practice sharing their knowledge out loud and practice those communication skills, their leadership skills. Everybody levels up from that. Ask a wide range of people, and you'll find those people that say yes, that like want to answer your questions. And remember them, because sometimes those people are in your direct team, sometimes they're out of your reporting chain, sometimes they're in a different group, on a cross-functional team, sometimes totally far away, maybe on the internet. Find that right venue, Slack, email, Zoom. Here's a diagram of ways that you can ask questions, places you can find information. And do your homework and help people help you with your question by saying like, this is what I've done so far, and this is what I've tried, and this is what's worked, you know, kind of give them a context. And finally, be open to suggestions. So after you've asked for questions, or after you've asked your questions, be open to their suggestions. Hear their feedback, their ideas, especially ones you haven't thought of yet. So when I was in CS, or computer science, when I went back to school, right, CS 101, I failed my first midterm. Failed it. This C++, it just wouldn't compile. It wouldn't compile. And I remember I went back to work the next day, because I was nights and weekends, right? And I talked to a senior engineer. I was like convinced that that failure meant that I was never going to be an engineer, like I couldn't do it. And he told me that engineering is 90% failing, and it's 10% success. Like, so the real job that we're doing here is how to get comfortable with things not working most of the time, like most of the time. So how to stay comfortable with that failure and keep moving on no matter what, trying to find a solution. So in that vein, learn how you learn. In the course of my journey so far, I've dedicated time to understanding how I learn best. And for me, that looks like I draw a diagram, I practice saying something out loud to someone else to make sure that I understand, get feedback like that, and always YouTube, always YouTube. Advocate for what you need from your manager, from your reporting chain, whatever, whether that's time, resources, a learning course, ask for what you need. A helpful tool at the beginning of projects, or especially at the beginning of my engineering journey, I'd have a meeting in the morning with my tech lead or whoever was running the project and kind of check in on what I was doing, and then in the afternoon, sync up again to see if there were any blockers that hadn't come up or I'd been deep in a hole and hadn't come out to say, I need help yet. So, and, oh, the rest of that slide didn't show up. Okay, well, here is clarify the problem, clarify the context. So when I'm struggling to identify a path forward, I can tackle it from two different angles. I either don't understand the context of the situation, like what's going on, or I don't understand the problem. So that kind of gets me, I can zoom out and refocus to identify my next steps. Take a tutorial, do a reading, ask more questions on that JIRA ticket, schedule a Zoom, try to find out what people are looking for. This one is a disco ball, and imagine that it says, build your community. Your people are out there, and if they're not, build something. Inside or outside of work, online or in person, there's tons of ways to meet people that you connect with that can help you grow. When I wanted to learn more about engineering as a career, I came into Airbnb. I didn't know any software engineers. I didn't know anybody that was writing code. I came from nonprofits and government work. I didn't know anybody that did that. So I started a gender diverse lunch meetup that eventually turned into the GemTech ERG that we have today. I just grabbed people and said, hey, do you want to have lunch and tell me about your job? Like, what do you do? How do you do that? And online communities, those have been really helpful for me and for a lot of my friends. Shout out Mac admins. If you're in that Slack group, yeah, thank you. I thought someone would clap for that one. There's Women Who Code, AnitaB.org. You might know about Grace Hopper Convention or Grace Hopper Celebration, pardon me. Techeria, it's a Latinx, online community hosting events. I just went to the Latinas in Tech conference down in San Francisco a couple weeks ago. Also Blacks in Technology, they often do collab events, so those are online, those are in person. And networking is a passion of mine. That's kind of my superpower. If you want to hear more about that, catch me in the hallway or ping me. Also find me on LinkedIn. So when you're out there, you're asking tons of questions, you'll hear a lot of stuff, and not everyone's suggestions are going to be the best fit for you. So curate your mentor deck. Find the people whose solutions really jive with you and your personal values and your goals. Identify those people, the people whose opinions you care about, and ask those people questions. So one strategy I heard was take a tiny square of paper and write the names of people whose opinions matter to you and fold it up and put it in your wallet. And then when you get stuck or you're not sure what way to go, pull out that piece of paper and call one of those people. Sounds cheesy, but totally works. And make opportunities for others. So this is where my call to action comes from, right? You can be helpful. You can be helpful right now. There's no time and role requirement to be helpful. If you're an early career, invite people into your work. Talk about projects you're doing. As a new engineer, you can be immediately helpful to people that are interested in becoming an engineer, people who are interested in your domain space, right? Like in client engineering, right? I talk to software engineers, I talk to IT people, I talk to all different types of people that don't really understand what it is that we do. So that's helpful to get people on the same page and talking about that. I also talk to my peers, right? I came with a lot of different career experience. I work with engineers and I meet people every day who've had one single track of focus. And so like that outside perspective can help them understand a product better, understand a customer use better. So you can be helpful right now. You can mentor within your organization. At Airbnb, we have a program. I mentor people. I've been mentoring on that for a couple of years within my org and outside of my org. I meet with mentees really regularly, inside and out of work, and it's such a joy. And sometimes if you're like, oh, my schedule's too full, come talk to me. We can talk about extracurricular strategies and how to make that work. Volunteer at a conference, at a nonprofit, meet people casually, build out your network that way. Networking, so taking coffee chats from new people, taking coffee chats from people you don't know, like building an informal connection with people, whether you know them or not, like that benefits you and the other person, and we can talk about that later. Share knowledge at meetups, whether they're local, whether they're online, brown bags at work, knowledge sharing on your team, whether that's writing some really great documentation and giving a talk about it, or taking a lunch and sharing with people what your expertise is. Support diversity and belonging initiatives at your work. If you don't have them, come talk to me and we can strategize about that too. And finally, recognize that there are people that can help you that aren't in the room and aren't on your Zoom. So one thing that's been immensely meaningful to me in my own career is when people brought me in on projects that I wasn't there for, right? Whether I was in a different org, I was on a different team, I've had people reach out that knew about my goals or what I wanted to do because we had met in informal other settings, right? Whether through ERG work or nonprofits. And they brought me in on projects so I could gain new skills, meet new people, build connections, and overall benefit the project. So I routinely look outside of my own team to find people who are interested in growing their careers or their skill sets, who can help the project succeed and learn new skills. And remember that things take time. Have patience and reach out to me. Give me a Slack, give me a call, look me up on LinkedIn. Also, my team is hiring. If you are interested in working with me personally or learning more about client engineering at Airbnb, please reach out to me directly. Here's my contact info. Thank you, MacDevOps Vancouver. That's my LinkedIn, that's my blog post, that's me on MacAdmin. So thanks everybody, I'm Elizabeth.